The first trimester of Y, and pregnancy flew by in a whirlwind of care, love, and amusing antics. Taehyung and Mrs. Kim took it upon themselves to ensure Y, and was cared for to the fullest. Both of them were more concerned about her health and happiness than the baby itself, knowing that a healthy Y meant a healthy little one. Y sat at the dining table, a bowl of fresh-cut vegetables before her. She wrinkled her nose, poking at a piece of broccoli with her fork. Taehyung strolled in, catching her expression. Taehyung grinning. Wow, the way you're glaring at that broccoli, anyone would think it owes you money. Whining. I hate this stuff. Can't I just eat something else? Mrs. Kim walking in with a glass of milk. You can eat something else after you finish this and drink this milk. Wyvin pouted, crossing her arms stubbornly. Taehyung walked over and crouched beside her chair, his deep voice softening. Taehyung, think of this as fuel for our little one. You don't want our baby thinking its mom is picky, do you? Wyvin rolled her eyes, but reluctantly took a bite. Mrs. Kim chuckled, watching the exchange. Mrs. Kim, Tae, stop spoiling her. She's lucky to have a husband like you. Back in my day, my husband would just point at the food and walk away, Wyvin muttering, maybe I should have married someone stricter. At least they wouldn't make me eat broccoli. Wyvin muttering, maybe I should have married someone stricter. At least they wouldn't make me eat broccoli, Taehyung feigning hurt. Ouch, after all I've done. Fine, I'll eat all your broccoli for you. He reached for her plate, but Wyvin smacked his hand, laughing. Every night, Taehyung made it a ritual to take Wyvin out for a quiet stroll. The fresh air seemed to calm her, and their conversations during these walks became a cherished time for both. One night, as they strolled through a park under the moonlight, Taehyung intertwined his fingers with hers. Taehyung, do you ever wonder what the baby will be like? Will it have my charm or your stubbornness? Wyvin smirking, or maybe both. Imagine a mini version of us, bossy and flirty. Taehyung stopped walking and turned to face her, his expression playful yet serious. Taehyung, Wyvin, there's no one else I'd rather share this journey with. You're everything I didn't know I needed. Wyvin blushed, nudging him. Wyvin, you're getting cheesy again, Mr. Kim. Taehyung, just trying to keep my wife entertained. Mrs. Kim often found herself teasing Wyvin about Taehyung's overly flirty behavior. One afternoon, as Wyvin sat on the couch resting, Taehyung walked by and gently tucked a stray strand of her hair behind her ear. Mrs. Kim snickering, you two should be in a drama. Tae, save some of that charm for later. Taehyung grinning, can't help it, Mom. She's just too adorable. Wyvin groaned, hiding her face in her hands. Wyvin, can we talk about something other than me being adorable for once? Mrs. Kim, fine, let's talk about how stubborn you are about eating vegetables. Wyvin remained nervous about every detail. Taehyung often lightened the mood by cracking jokes. At one appointment, the doctor mentioned that Wyvin's weight gain was on track. Doctor, see, eating those vegetables is paying off. Wyvin grumbling. Yeah, tell that to my taste buds. Taehyung smirked, leaning close to her. Taehyung whispering, your taste buds might hate you now, but the baby will thank you later. 3 months passed in a blur of late-night talks, playful arguments, and endless care. Wyvin had begun to visibly show, and her once stubborn resistance to vegetables and milk turned into amused tolerance, though she still made faces. Taehyung and Mrs. Kim noticed the glow that started to replace the uncertainty on Wyvin's face. Every moment spent together strengthened their bond, and the little one growing inside became a symbol of hope, love, and new beginnings. Taehyung, you're doing amazing. Wyvin, only because I have you two keeping me in line. The trio sat together on the couch one evening, sharing laughter and warmth, knowing that the best was yet to come. It was close to midnight when Wyvin woke up, feeling an intense craving for something sweet. She carefully tiptoed to the kitchen, hoping not to wake anyone, only to find Taehyung already there, rummaging through the fridge. Wyvin surprised, what are you doing here? Taehyung grinning. I could ask you the same thing. Midnight snack? Why cravings? I need chocolate. Taehyung held up a bar of chocolate he had just found. Taehyung held up a bar of chocolate he had just found. Taehyung teasing. Was this what you were looking for, my queen? Why snatching it? Thank you, my knight. They sat on the kitchen floor, sharing the chocolate and whispering about random things until started to yawn. Taehyung, all right, time for the queen to go back to bed. He carried her back to their room despite her protests, tucking her in like she was made of glass. One lazy Sunday, Taehyung and wife sat in their room discussing ideas for the baby's nursery. Mrs. Kim joined them with a notebook and pen in hand. Mrs. Kim, okay, let's decide. Boy or girl, what colors are we going for? Taehyung, neutral tones, beige, white, maybe a soft green. Wine and pouting, but what about cute designs? Like little animals or stars? Mrs. Kim, stars sound nice. Tae, you don't want the room to be too plain, do you? Taehyung smiling, fine, stars it is, but I'm vetoing anything overly pink. They spent hours debating everything from crib styles to curtains. At one point, Taehyung suggested installing a small projector for the ceiling. Taehyung, imagine the baby falls asleep under a sky full of stars. Whyin's eyes softened and she squeezed his hand. Whyin, that's perfect. The trio ended the day with sketches and plans scattered around, feeling one step closer to welcoming the little one into their world. Taehyung entered the room, a glimmer of excitement in his eyes as he waved an elegant white envelope in the air. Whyhin looked up from her book, curiosity flickering on her face. Taehyung excited. Himmin invited us to his company's annual gala next weekend. Whyhin sitting up. Us, you mean ... you and me. Taehyung grinning. Of course. Who else would I go with? Whyhin hesitating. Tae, you should go alone. I'll just stay home. His grin faded as he moved to sit beside her, studying her face carefully. Taehyung, why wouldn't you want to come? It's going to be fun. Whyhin biting her lip. Look at me. I look like a potato, Tae. And you single quotes Ray ... well, you. A literal walking masterpiece. People will talk, and I don't want to be the reason they gossip. Taehyung's expression shifted from confusion to disbelief. He gently cupped her face in his hands, forcing her to look at him. Taehyung softly, Whyhin, do you think I care what anyone says about us? You're my wife, my everything. If anyone has a problem, they'll have to deal with me. Whyhin still unsure, but Taehyung cutting her off. No, you're coming with me, and that's final. I want the world to see the woman who makes me the happiest man alive. His words left her speechless, and after some more persuasion, she finally nodded. The next morning, Taehyung practically dragged wife into Seoul's largest mall, determined to find her the perfect outfit for the event. Whyhin walked beside him, clearly uncomfortable but unable to resist his enthusiasm. Taehyung playfully, all right, Mrs. Kim, today we're going to find you something that'll leave everyone in awe. Whyhin rolling her eyes, Tae, I'm 6 months pregnant. The only thing I'll leave people in awe of is how I managed to waddle my way to the gala. Taehyung grinning. Then we'll find the most stunning gown for you to waddle in. Read more. They entered a boutique filled with dazzling evening dresses. Taehyung immediately began picking out options, holding up each one to Y, and Taehyung holding up a red gown. How about this one? It screams confidence. Whyhin? It also screams discomfort. Next. Taehyung smiling proudly. You look perfect. Now let's find you some shoes. Whyhin groaning. Shoes? Can't I just wear my sneakers? Taehyung mock horror. Absolutely not. Sneakers with that dress. Whyhin? Have some mercy on fashion. On the other side of the mall, Jungkook was reluctantly walking through the baby section, pushing his shopping cart while Yoona browsed through tiny clothes and toys. Yoona holding up a onesie. Isn't this adorable? Our baby will look so cute in this. Jungkook sighing. It's fine, Yoona. Just pick whatever you want. And let's go. Yoona pouting. Why are you in such a hurry? This is our baby we're shopping for. You could at least pretend to be excited. He looked at her, his expression softening slightly. Jungkook muttering, I'm here, aren't I? That should count for something. Yoona smirked, knowing she had a way of getting under his skin. She grabbed a few more items and placed them in the cart. Yoona, I don't know why you're acting so grumpy. You'll be thanking me when our baby wears these and looks adorable. As they moved to another aisle, Jungkook spotted a familiar figure in the distance, Taehyung. His brows furrowed as he saw Whyun standing beside him, laughing as Taehyung held up a pair of glittery heels. Jungkook to himself, what is he doing here? And with her. Yoona noticed his distraction and followed his gaze, her face hardening when she saw Whyun. Yoona coldly, oh, look who it is. The happy couple. Jungkook didn't respond, his jaw tightening as he turned the cart around. Yoona, what? You're just going to walk away. Jungkook firmly, yes, let's go. Taehyung and Whyun shopping the two stood outside a luxurious boutique, Taehyung holding up a pair of sparkling heels. Whyun hesitant, Tae, we shouldn't buy this. Taehyung curious, why not? Whyun pointing at her belly, it might be hard for me to carry them. Or even wear them, Taehyung smirking, that's okay. I'll be there to carry you. Whyun rolled her eyes but couldn't hide her smile. She glanced at the price tag and gasped, why died, Tae? These cost $4,000. Taehyung chuckling, so that's nothing. Whyun playfully punched his chest. Whyun, you're so... She was interrupted by Taehyung's phone ringing. He excused himself, promising to return in 5 minutes. Whyun nodded, smiling, and stepped into the boutique. Whyun and Yoona's encounter as Whyun entered, she froze, her smile fading as she heard a familiar voice dripping with mockery. Yoona, oh, look who we have here. Whyun's heart raced, but she steadied herself, recalling Taehyung's words, if you're not wrong, stand your ground like my tigress. You're Whyun Taehyung Kim, my Mrs. Kim, Yoona mocking, why so quiet? Lost for words. Oh, and don't bother going inside. This place is way out of your budget. Jungkook firmly, let's go, Yoona. But Yoona snatched her hand back, her voice sharp. Yoona, no, look at her, acting all high and mighty. Do you really think you're something special, Whyun? Before Whyun could reply, Taehyung returned, wrapping his arm protectively around her waist. Taehyung calmly, yes, she is. She's Mrs. Whyun Taehyung Kim. Yoona's jaw dropped as Jungkook quickly bowed to Taehyung. Yoona shocked. Why are you bowing to this ... This freak, Jungkook warning. Yoona, shut up. Yoona's face paled. Yoona stammering. What? Taehyung smiled politely, his tone dripping with authority. Taehyung, I'm Kim Taehyung, husband of this beautiful lady right here. Yoona's shock turned to desperation as she blurted out accusations. Yoona venomously, you should take better care of your wife. She has a history of cheating on her husband with other men. She even cussed me to lose my baby. Why? Anne's hands tightened around Taehyung's jacket as tears pricked her eyes. Taehyung's expression darkened, but his voice remained composed. Taehyung addressing Jungkook, Mr. Jeon, does your wife always harbor this much hatred for mine? Or is it a recent development? Jungkook looked at the ground, his face filled with discomfort. Jungkook mumbling, I'm sorry, sir. Taehyung's tone grew colder. Taehyung, since marrying her, I've seen nothing questionable about my wife's character. Tell me, which dimension is your wife pulling these stories from? Jungkook's apology was barely audible as he grabbed Yoona's arm. Jungkook, we'll leave now. I'm sorry, they turned to go, but Taehyung's voice stopped them. Taehyung, wait, Mr. Jeon. Both turned back, Yoona now visibly nervous. Taehyung calmly, we'll be hosting a baby shower soon. You and your wife are welcome to attend. He gently placed his hand over Whyun's slightly rounded belly, his touch protective yet proud. Jungkook froze, his mind racing. Hyun's pregnant, but how? Yuna's face turned pale as sweat trickled down her temples. Yuna panicking, Jungkook, let's go. She dragged a stunned Jungkook away, her mind spinning with fear, while Jungkook remained numb, haunted by Taehyung's words. As Hyun browsed the shop, trying on dresses Taehyung selected for her, she seemed unusually quiet. Taehyung noticed her distracted gaze and gently tapped her nose. Taehyung teasing, "Earth to my gorgeous wife. Are you shopping or daydreaming about me?" Hyun chuckled softly, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. Taehyung frowned and crouched slightly to meet her gaze. Taehyung, Hyun, what's wrong? Talk to me. Hyun hesitated but finally sighed. Hyun softly, it's just. Seeing Yuna and Jungkook today ... it stirred something inside me. Taehyung's brows furrowed, and he gently took her hands, leading her to a quiet corner of the boutique. Taehyung, what stirred, sweetheart? Tell me. Hyun bit her lip, struggling to put her thoughts into words. Hyun, they seemed so happy. Tae, after everything they did to me, they're living their lives like nothing happened. No consequences, no karma, but me. I've gone through so much pain. If Mrs. Kim hadn't found me that day ... If you hadn't married me ... where would I be? Was all that suffering some sort of punishment for a sin I don't even remember committing? Her voice broke at the end, tears pooling in her eyes. Taehyung immediately pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. Taehyung softly, Hyun, don't do this to yourself. He leaned back, cupping her face gently and wiping her tears with his thumbs. Taehyung firmly, what happened to you wasn't fair, and it wasn't your fault. Karma has its way of catching up, trust me. People like Yuna and Jungkook might seem happy now, but happiness built on lies and cruelty doesn't last. You've endured, you've survived, and you've come out stronger. That's real. Hyun sniffled, her heart easing slightly at his words. Taehyung smiling, besides, if you're questioning karma, maybe it sent me to you as its apology for everything you've been through. Hyun let out a watery laugh, swatting his chest playfully. Hyun, you're so full of yourself. Taehyung grinning, and you love it. He kissed her forehead tenderly. Taehyung, now, how about we focus on shopping? You still need a stunning dress to outshine everyone at Hyun's event. I won't let anyone take their eyes off my wife. Hyun smiled, her mood lightened by his warmth and reassurance. Though her mind still wandered back to her thoughts occasionally, Taehyung's unwavering support gave her the strength to push forward. The cab ride was suffocatingly silent, the only sound being the hum of the engine. Jungkook stared out the window, his mind replaying the scene from the mall. His thoughts spiraled uncontrollably wide, and is pregnant, the words echoed relentlessly. She was infertile, the doctor had said, so how was this possible? Was her happiness real, or was it a facade? Jungkook couldn't make sense of it, and it gnawed at him. On the other side of the seat, Yuna sat trembling, her fists clenched tightly on her lap. Sweat trickled down her temple as her mind raced. The fire of envy consumed her, each thought adding fuel to the flames. Yuna inwardly, how can Hyun be happy after everything I did to destroy her? She should be drowning in misery, crying every night, begging for peace. But instead, she's thriving, married to a billionaire, pregnant, luxurious lifestyle. God, why does she get everything? Her nails dug into her palm as jealousy boiled over into hatred. She bit her lips so hard it nearly bled, whispering to herself. Yuna muttering, she doesn't deserve any of this. She deserves pain, misery, to feel every bit of torment I gave her. If it were up to me, I'd burn her entire world to ashes. Her glance shifted to Jungkook, who hadn't said a word. His silence was deafening. The way Taehyung's words had rattled him, the way his eyes softened when he saw Hyun, and now the cherry on top her pregnancy. Yuna thinking, he's doubting me, I can see it. He's thinking about her, questioning everything. No, I can't let this happen. And I have to act fast before he finds out the truth. I can't let him slip away from me. I've worked too hard to let this fall apart. As her jealousy and panic consumed her, she barely noticed the truck speeding toward their lane. Drivers shouting, "Watch out!" A deafening thud filled the air as the cab collided head-on with the truck. Glass shattered, and metal crumpled. Screams erupted, and then silence. Jungkook's head jerked forward before slamming against the window. His vision blurred as darkness started to overtake him. His last thought before losing consciousness was her name, Jungkook weakly. Why Wylan? Yoona clutched her stomach, her breaths shallow and pained, Yoona whispering, "Am my baby?" The world spun and faded into blackness, leaving the cab in eerie stillness amidst the wreckage.